Yeah, good evening, Flyers fans. Welcome back to the Clear the Ice, a Flyers postgame show here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Your boy Matty B on the call once again as I end my trifecta of Flyers postgames. 1-1-1. I guess that's kind of how it's going to wrap up for me tonight. Flyers just kind of showing all the signs of a team that's not anywhere near as good as the Dallas Stars when they're not coming off a back-to-back, as they were in Dallas tonight and pretty much spent 3/4 of this game chasing the Stars. And unfortunately, the same story unfolds in between the pipes tonight for the Flyers as Dan Vladar, this time responsible for 5 goals. 10 goals given up by Flyers netminders over the weekend. 10 goals. That's an average of 5 a game for you math wizards out there. That ain't going to cut it. And the offense just was not there as they were able to get 1 goal late in this thing. And not necessarily it wasn't that the Stars blew the brakes off the Flyers. It really wasn't. I guess the score is a little misleading than the actual game was. It was a very entertaining game. But as I said, the Flyers spent the majority of this game in chase mode, and they just couldn't catch the Stars. The Stars were about a half a step ahead of them all game long. Yeah, you want to give the back-to-back the issue, but, the Flyers, I think, have 15 total back-to-back contests in 25, 26. They better figure out a better way to compete. That's a lot of losses if you're not going to be able to get any in those. But 5-1 is your final tonight. Jason Roberts, Robertson, what's his name? Robertson. Jason Robertson with the natural hattie, man. He gets the natural hat trick in this game, scores 3 straight goals. For a while there, I didn't think they were going to need that hat trick as they were keeping the Flyers off the scoreboard. But Dvorak, as I mentioned, late in the game, gets the Flyers seemingly back in it for a few seconds, 4-1, and then the Stars, the Stars just Vladar. Sagan to Vladar, bad angle, going right, way too right. Flyers caught in a line change. A all too familiar shot from distance with elevation, handcuffs Vladar, and I guess it really doesn't matter at this point who's in between the pipes these days. But that's how you get 5-1. And the Flyers will now be able to sort of lick their wounds, 4 days off. Are there some decisions that have to be made about this team in these 4 days, specifically about the goaltenders? How much more do we need to see from Sam Ersson to understand that he's probably not, cut out to be a backup at this level? And how much more? Yes, it's been a good story and it's been fun and it's been very energetic and hopeful. But is Dan Vladar cut out to be a starter? And can the Flyers pull off a trade potentially in the next 4 days to bring in a goalie? Is it time to give one of the 2 netminders down in Lehigh Valley, Kovaslov or even Carson Bjornsson, an opportunity? Or do you continue to ride this goaltending situation as far as it can take you? So I don't know if they're going to make any major decisions, especially with the net minding, but you got to think, and listen, it's no secret and it's no surprise that we're struggling in between the pipes. That it's the Flyers. They haven't had a solid goaltender since Pelle Lindbergh, but yeah, 10 goals over the last 2 games is nothing that I don't think you can ignore that. I think you definitely have to address that. So the Flyers fall tonight 5-1. We're going to break this bad boy down. Hey, man, he's terrible loss. They're all terrible when they lose. Jason Robertson goal in the third should have been called a penalty. Yeah, we'll get into that. Matt, can we talk Flyers? Ricky, this is a Flyers post-game show. Yes, we can. I would prefer to talk Flyers on a Flyers post-game show. Yeah, bring it on. But and a little bit more about the Vladar situation. It's tough. You're a goalie coming in on a back-to-back, right? Your team is feeling that grind of a back-to-back, and now you're supposed to be literally, standing on your head to try to keep your team in the game. 28 shots, I believe, is what the Stars finished with tonight. Not necessarily. 28 shots. 28 shots what the Stars finished tonight with. So 5 goals and 28 shots. It's a good night's work. I'll give you that. But still, as we break these goals down, you're going to see a common theme once again. Going down way too early, leaving the entire, this part of the net up and open consistently. And again, it's not the AHL, it's not the KHL, it's not the Federal League, it's not the ECHL, it's not Major Junior Hockey, it's not any of that stuff, man. It's the National Hockey League. If you give these shooters at this level that much to shoot at, they're going to score. But it's a common issue with Vladar and Urson. They're going down way too soon. And as I said, as we break these goals down, it's going to become it's frightfully obvious to me. And I'm not a goaltending coach. Why can't the Flyers netminders coaches explain this to the goalies? Is there a time and a place for a goalie to go into the butterfly? Absolutely. And that's your style, of course. Shots close, breakaways, opportunities where you're going to literally be faced with a puck right in your face is the butterfly situation. Not from the dot or the top of the slot or the hash mark. That's too far to give that much room. Stay on your feet. It's amazing. 5 more goals, man. 5 more goals given up tonight. And I'm not putting this game on Vladar. I'm not saying it's the reason why they lost, but knowing you're up against the Dallas Stars, granted, and they were down some pieces, but they are still a top 6 team in this league. They are a perennial Stanley Cup contender year after year after year. They're a very well-built team. You're coming off a back-to-back, or you're coming off of a game last night. You're not at the level the Dallas Stars are, even if you had 3 nights off. So you got to get you as a netminder got to understand that, and you got to try to give your team a better chance to win. And again, it's not like this is coming to a surprise. I think, can we tempt down the Dan Vladar, the future of the franchise? I don't think anybody has said that he was the future of the franchise, but we still have a goaltending problem. That shouldn't be a secret to anybody. Coach after coach won't do anything. The team is supposed to be rebuilding. They aren't sticking to a true rebuild. They got away from it. Once again, a retool. They have no clue. Same old Flyers. I disagree. They're absolutely rebuilding. That's why it's so frustrating. It's not a retool. Ryan, you can't sit here and tell me that the forwards on this hockey team are the example of a retool. There's no offensive standouts on this hockey team right now, right? Mitch Kopp is a budding star, but he's maybe got some character problems. Zegras is a great addition to this team, and they got him for Ryan Poehling. They didn't mortgage a future for him. Outside of them 2 players, Travis Konecny, does he even still play for the Flyers? Good God. Right? Outside of those 2 players, who are your offensive standouts, and who are you talking what is the retool about? Who's being retooled? This team is a definition of a rebuild. I disagree with your point completely. It's a complete rebuild, but that's where the frustrating part comes in, because there's no timeline against the rebuild. There's no magic spell with the rebuild. It's a daily grind. It's a yearly process. It's all of those things, and it's a frustrating place to be. That's why teams don't necessarily jump into rebuilds all that often. They try not to, at least. And I disagree with the coaching standpoint. This team is remarkably better under Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet has the team defense instills the team defense philosophy. I love it. I absolutely love it. They got to get a little bit more creative on offense, but that's going to take time because, once again, you don't have the bodies necessarily to execute what he wants to do. John Tortorella was a fundamental hockey 101, maybe even lower than 101, because he said it himself time after time after time. I'm not only here to coach hockey, but I'm also here to teach these guys how to be pros. So there was not too much creativity with that. It was pretty baseline type stuff. Rick Tocchet has at least amped up it a little bit. I'm not saying it's major, but it's at least a little bit better. It comes down to talent. You don't have it. You're trying to develop it. You're coming out of the problems with the salary cap. I am not going to blame the front office for the situation with this hockey team tonight. I'm not, because I don't think it was ever a situation where you could fix it in one day. But the honeymoon is ending. This could be 6 straight years of not making the playoffs. That's unacceptable. The money is coming back. We got to start seeing something from some of these players. And I have not seen, as I just said, the individual offensive standouts, Zegras, Michkov, and I say it with a question mark, but that's it. That's it. There are very much a team style right now. So I disagree with that comment. So why did we talk about them making the playoffs this year? So then why did we talk about, I never talked about them making the playoffs. I said I want them to make the playoffs. I also said that I don't think that they might make the playoffs. And I was concerned that 6 years, might be the new record. The words of the Flyers going to the playoffs this year never came out of my mouth. The words that I hope they make it to the playoffs, and that if they don't make it to the playoffs, then we're going to end up having to have another discussion. Those words came out of my mouth. Listen, I'm as frustrated as you are. And I want this to go away as much as you do. But it's a rebuild for a reason. And they are rebuilding. Slow as hell. Slow as hell. I'll give you that, man. I give you that. Matt, I do NHL fantasy hockey. Oh, good. I never got into that. No aggression on offense, all under the target. They did with Torts. What? No aggression on offense at all under target like they did with Torts. There is something to that. Again, one of my major concerns with this team offensively is their perimeter style. I don't necessarily think they were aggressive with Torts offensively, except for that 1 year. And that aggression came in the form of going home, with a home run pass, trying to tilt the ice with those line-to-line passes. Morgan Frost was a master at that for 1 year. And it worked famously for them. But when we're talking aggression with offense, there's many ways that can kind of demonstrate itself in the NHL. Your down low game, your corner game, your scrapping game. The Flyers can't do that, and they never could do that over the last 3 or 5 years. They're just not built like that. But what their killer instinct under Tortorella was, in my opinion, was going for those home run passes, trying to tilt the ice, trying to get those odd man rushes. For some odd reason, it went away last year, and they've completely gone away from it now. But this year's offense, it's very bland, very, very perimeter. It's let's get as close as we possibly can without getting too close. Let's get that shot away. I understand you there, and I share your frustration with that. Not you, but most people did. They are a true. If they are a true, not you, but most people did. If they are a true rebuild. Well, see, Ryan, but most people don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to hockey. All right, most people equate hockey to football. They equate hockey to baseball. They equate hockey to basketball, and it's a totally different sport. And you know that. You're not going to be able to get a rebuild in baseball, rebuild in basketball, and a rebuild in football is a matter of a great offseason signing a lot of key free agents. Hockey, you can't do that because you don't have the cap. You don't have that kind of money floating around. Everyone's cap strapped in hockey. So the best way to build a team in hockey is through the draft. Matter of fact, that's the only way to do it. Yeah, you can get lucky with a good signing here and there, a blockbuster trade here and there, and that's part of it. But you can't rebuild a team anywhere as fast as you can in the other sports than you can in hockey. It's a slow process because there's no other really outlet other than through the draft. And it takes time, And that's why I guess in hockey, a lot of teams try to stay away from the rebuild because of that very reason of the time aspect. I get it. I do fantasy football as well, Ricky. It's nothing but perimeter on. Yeah, absolutely. No argument there. Nothing but perimeter. But tonight's goal wasn't. Tonight's goal was a nice little up close goal, little ping pong action. Let's get into this game. Spent a lot of time arguing. That's not an argument. It's debating, healthily debating. The Flyers' healthy scratches tonight was Nick Florian, Adam Ginning, and Igor Zamula. So Gabrankin was a go. For the Mavericks, said the Mavericks. For the Stars, Matthew Shane, a huge loss for the Stars at this point, and Thomas Harley were their scratches. In the net for the Philadelphia Flyers, Mr. Dan Vladar, 28 shots faced, 23 saves, and a 8.821 goal save percentage tonight as he gives up 5 goals. 10 goals given up by Flyers netminders over the weekend. You're not going to win at this level when you're doing that. And in net for the Dallas Stars, the much-traveled Jake Ottinger, 21 shots faced, gave up the 1 goal and a .952 save percentage. And, yeah, that's pretty much that's all you need to know when it comes to that. But we go deeper here. Let's get it going. The Stars would get out early in this game, about 4 minutes. I'll be precise, 3 minutes and 48 seconds into the first period. Liam Bichelle, his first goal of the year from Petrovoyk, and Heiko Wagan, Herkowawayan. His second assist. Give the Dallas Stars the early 1-0 lead, and let's go to the tape, shall we? Let's go to the tape on this goal. Oh, baby. All right, let's go to the tape on the goal here. So we're going to start the play in the Flyers offensive zone. Matter of fact, the puck is kind of right here in the middle of the screen now. One thing to sort of take note here is that's Tyson Forrester on the ground. He got hit by that puck. And he was slow to get up, and it kind of opens up a little bit of a seam for Bichelle to get the shot away. It's actually going to come into play later on in the game when Jean Couturier, as Joe Hale alluded to, got his stick hacked out of his hands and opened up the Robertson third goal. But this was the first goal of the night, so let's pick it up. The puck is going to bounce around, and it's going to go back out to the point. This is actually, I want to stop it here because, actually, no, let it play. So it's just going to be a nice little touch pass, and then Bichelle's just going to take advantage of the massive amounts of human flesh in front of the net. He's going to throw it on net. It's going to bang around about 3 or 4 different players, and it's going to find its way in. I think it went off a sealer at the last minute, and it found its way in. But it's interesting because this goal was really at the end of an extremely frustrating defensive sequence for the Flyers in the zone, where they had multiple opportunities to get control of that puck and get it out of there, and they just could not. Again, sort of on the mantra of back-to-back, just didn't have the giddy up tonight, didn't have the juice, didn't have the oomph, as the Stars kept winning possession of the puck, winning the loose puck battles, getting the puck back out to the point, cycling the offense yet again, finding another open shot, and this goal was a byproduct of about a good 35 seconds of that type of play. And again, the Flyers look like a bunch of tired people at the end of this goal because they were, as they were just not able to get control of the puck. Again, Forrester took one, I think, in the inner part of the shin there as he kind of skates off gingerly. He did return to the game. But the Stars would go up 1-0. And as I mentioned, Bichelle's first of the season. And then the Jason Robertson show would begin. I'm getting ahead of myself. That was the only goal of the first period. Flyers. Listen, the Flyers played well in this game. Again, I think the 5-1 score is a little misleading, and I truly believe that. They played well. They just definitely showed the signs of a team coming from a back-to-back, and they showed the signs of a team that just isn't that talented enough to go up against the Dallas Stars. And that's honestly what was the difference tonight. And Dan Vladar, honestly. In that first period, Dallas painfully, I'm looking at the wrong period. Dallas painfully outshot the Flyers 10-3 heading into your first intermission. And as we begin the second period, about halfway through at the 11:39 mark, Jason Robertson, the first of his hat trick, his 7th of the year, to make it 2-0 Dallas. Let's bring up the video on that bad boy. Let's get it going here. Right, here we go. So let's pick up the play coming out of the Dallas zone. I want to leave it here because I want you to kind of understand what the Flyers are up against. There's 3 Flyers behind the play. There's these 2 guys and Travis Konechny. He's way back here. There was obviously some miscommunication and some attempts to try to keep the play inside the offensive zone. So you got the Dallas Stars breaking out here 4-on-2. And obviously that's a recipe for disaster to begin with. I'm going to let it roll from here. They'll come out to center ice. The Flyers are chugging and chugging. The defense is trying to get back. Nick Seeler's given everything he can. So is Emil Andre. They can't get back. It's going to be so let's stop here. I don't blame Seeler at all. You're just in a bad spot here. And it's just a matter of what you're going to do as the lone defenseman here. A lot of people look at this as a 2-on-1. I don't. I look at it as a 2-on-2 because your goalie is a defenseman. He's the last line of defense, right? He's the guy that you're relying upon when it all fails, when it all breaks down. He's the last guy here. Now, Vladar is totally fixated on the puck, as he should be, but you cannot completely lose sight of this guy right here. All right. Now, I thought this was going to go back to the open side for a pass. I think everybody in the building thought it was going to go back to the open side for a pass. And guess what happens? It goes back and boom. So there was no pass. The forward tried to take it one-on-one. We got a save. We got a rebound. We got Nick Seeler over pursuing the rebound. We got Dan Vladar losing control of the rebound. And now you look the way Vladar made that save. Look at him on the ground on the butterfly. That's the proper way to enforce the butterfly technique. It's kind of on a breakaway, right? You go down, you try to, you make the target smaller, and it was the proper thing to do, but Vladar just doesn't hold on to the rebound. Seeler over pursues the rebound, and it goes right into Robertson, who's there to just bang it into the open net. 2-0 at this point now, Dallas. Was I upset with Dan Vladar at this point of the game? Kind of a little bit. That first goal was a little rough. All the people standing in the way, all the screens that went off Seeler, went off a couple other bodies. This goal, I wasn't really that frustrated either. The Flyers were caught on a 4-on-2, and those breakdowns are going to happen, and you got to just pray to God that somebody can make a play. And that's more than what I'm frustrated about, was that nobody made a play, that Seeler he over pursued that rebound, and Vladar let the rebound go, or Vladar let the rebound go, and then Seeler over pursued it. And then you got 2-0 Dallas at this point of the game. And offensively, the offensive attack for the Flyers up to this moment was really pedestrian. I was thinking that was all they were going to need. I didn't think they needed anything more, but they were going to get some more. Jason Robertson, his second goal, not only of the night, but in a row, at the 17:02 mark of the second period, to give the Stars a 3-0 lead. And let's bring that bad boy up. And we'll pick up the play as the puck is inside the Flyers zone. And let's let it kind of roll from here. We're going to get a simple little dink pass down. Now, again, defensively, do you want this guy to be left alone? Is there a little confusion here? Yeah, you never want to have both your defenders on the same side of the ice, obviously, right? But you know what? As this play sort of develops, not trans, but develops. Let's stop it right here. Jason Robertson is not taking a shooter's approach to this play. Shooting is not necessarily, I don't think, on the first thing on his mind. What I think he's doing as he's moving around, I think he's wondering where the hell the defense is. And then he realizes, I'm open and there's nobody on me. I might as well just take a shot here, see what the best thing that can happen, and we'll go from there. And so he's going to turn around here, and that's when he's going to take the shot. Now, look at this. He's into his shot. The puck is barely off the ground. Vladar's already going down. The puck has not even begun its flight to the net, and Vladar's already going into the butterfly. So all of this is already opened up. Come on, man. And boom. I don't understand it, man. I don't. That's a terrible goal. That's a goal that Dan Vladar needs to save. No screen, shot out by the dot on a kind of a turnaround wrister. You got to make that save. He does it, and it's now 3-0. And that would be all the goal scoring for that second period. The Stars would the Flyers would outshoot the Stars 11-6 in the second period. So the Flyers showing a little bit of offensive life, but Oettinger was to the task. Into the third, Jason Robertson, his third goal in a row, and his third of the night, which is the natural hat trick, his ninth now of the year, this time on the power play, gives Dallas the 4-0 lead at the 9:29 mark. Obviously, this is the nail in the coffin. I'm not saying, I don't know if the Flyers had the offensive wherewithal to come back from a 1-0 deficit in this hockey game. And I sure as hell did not think they were coming back from 4-0. But let's let this roll. Now, this is the controversial goal that Joe Hale was referring to with Sean Couturier getting his stick whacked out of his hands. You're not going to get a good look at it here. You're going to get a good look at the end of the play. So this is Jason Robertson right here, and this is Sean Couturier, and he's already losing his stick. So I didn't see the initial. I saw the initial play. I saw where the stick was whacked out, and yes, that's a penalty, but it's the oldest trick in the book. Now, I'm not saying you can't slash the stick. You can't slash the stick. You can't knock it out their hands. You can't pull it out of their hands. You can't do any of that. But maybe in the ref's determination at this play, maybe it was just him going through the middle and lifting his stick. You can lift the stick all you want. Again, this is going to be key, though, because Couturier is going to have to rush and get his stick as it hits off his foot, and then he's looking for the penalty. He's not going to get it, and he's still looking for the penalty. Listen, not for nothing, man. You ain't getting the penalty. Why aren't we beat feeting for our stick? Because you got a major defensive breakdown right now in the center of the ice. You got Robertson sitting down here, and you got the open guy here, and you got Couturier obviously not involved in the play because he's looking for a stick. And it's going to take the Stars about 4 seconds to figure that out. And there's Robertson wide open down low around the dot. He's going to get a little tic-tac goal here. And then once again, look at Vladar. Let's look at Dan Vladar. Look at the stance he's got in the crease. He's already going into the butterfly. The puck is literally sitting on Jason Robertson's stick blade. And Dan Vladar is going into the butterfly at this point. You're already giving Jason Robertson an opportunity to shoot it high because you're giving him the upper part of the net, and Robertson's going to take it, and he's just going to tee it up, wrist it up top, and for the fourth goal, his hat trick. The hats will rain down on the ice. Did that guy, I didn't notice, there was a guy sitting in the stands. He had a 10-gallon Cowboy hat on. Did he throw his hat out in the ice? Let's watch. I totally, is that it right there? No. There was a dude with a white Cowboy hat on in the stands. Does he toss out his hat? Because that would be badass if he did that. But there you go. There come the hats flying. It was on the power play. Tyson Forrester does the skate of shame, going back to the bench. And the Flyers are now down 4-0. And but that wasn't all. Flyers had some fight. To the Flyers' credit, they had some fight as they would they would will themselves back into this game the best that they possibly can. Coming up with a goal a few minutes later, finally breaking through, getting the, knocking off the possibility of a shutout. And the red hot Christian Dvorak remains red hot for the Flyers as he does get the goal. So let's bring that up. All right, you got Christian Dvorak with his sixth goal of the year from Tippett and Drysdale at the 10:57 mark. It gets the Flyers within a 4-1 tally. This was another one of those situations where the puck was pinballing around in massive humanity, and Dvorak kind of steps out and is sort of rewarded for his work. There's Dvorak all the way over here. He's going to actually be completely out of this play and then become the recipient of the goal here as they look at the puck just bouncing all over the place. Nobody can get possession of it. It finds its way to the net, to Dvorak. Nice little fake sort of shot, but the backhand kind of gets Ottinger to commit to stretching there and not going post to post. And that was obviously the reason why he scored that goal. Really a heads-up play by Dvorak here as he's making his way across the goal mouth. Right there. Let me see. Where is it? He's going to come right here as he picks up that loose puck. And he's going to go across the goal mouth. Look at him kind of fake the backhand there. And it commit Ottinger to make the stretch sooner than he should have. And then he goes real far side and gets the goal. 4-1 Flyers. As another good signing by the Flyers in the offseason. Went under the radar a little bit, especially by me. I criticized it. But Dvorak's been a really good offensive-minded, two-way kind of guy for the Flyers. Was brought in here to be a fourth-line centerman, but on this team, I think he's up on the second line now, maybe even the first. So 4-1 at this point. Were the Flyers on their way back? Was the comeback trail starting for the Flyers? Nah. It really wasn't, as we got into that sort of portion of the game where you're going to have to start taking chances. You're going to have to start pressing a little bit. You're going to have to start overcommitting some players in order to try to create some offense. And a lot of times that leads to odd man rushes and problems going the other way. This was not necessarily one of those situations, but the Flyers are caught in a line change, and it springs a situation for the Stars. Seguin is going to get the puck here as we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6 Flyers involved in this play. None of them are actually involved in the play. You got guys coming off, guys coming on, people completely out of position, and Seguin is completely going in on a breakaway, but he does the smart thing here. He does a very smart thing on this play. He's going to stop at that dot, and he knows what's the one way to beat Dan Vladar? Well, they shoot the puck from distance with elevation. And Vladar's he's doing a little bit better of a job of not completely going down into the butterfly here, but this time he's just going to go and get too small, and they're going to find the far side, the right post there, and it's now 5-1. And that's all she wrote, really. I mean, it was over when it was 3-1. Actually, it was over when it was 2-1, but Seguin gets the insurance goal there for the Stars. 5-1. Tyler Seguin, 7th from Lumbuskin, his 4th at 13:51 of the third period. The Stars would outshoot the Flyers 12-7 in the third period. Stars outshot the Flyers 28-21 for the game. Flyers 0 for 1 on the power play. Dallas was 1 for 2 on the power play. Flyers blocked 12 shots, gave the puck away 17 times, and took it away 6. And that's all she wrote from the Big D. Flyers fall 5-1 and are now 9-6-3 on the season. As I mentioned, 4 days off now before their next game, which will be on Wednesday night against the – what are they playing on Wednesday? Let me see. I got it right here. Let me bring it up for you. Wednesday night is the next game, and it will be against the team they played last night, the St. Louis Blues, but this time the Blues will be coming to South Philadelphia. Mike Laro, Thursday night, not Wednesday, Thursday night. Mike Laro with the call. I will be back on Saturday as we get our first look at the Devils this year. Little interdivisional rivalry there. I start playing some of the teams from the East. But there's a schedule for Clear the Ice next week. So the Flyers now, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days off, essentially. 5 days, not 4, but 5. Is there a move made? Do they address the goaltending situation? Have they seen enough to know they've seen too much of Sam Ersson? And do they make a move to fortify the net? And again, not that Dan Vladar seems to be much better, but do they make a move? They suck, bunch of bums. Goalie can't save anything. Goalie sucks. Couple good games. They say he's good. You can't save nothing. Matt, do you use Google? Yeah, do you? Ricky with the weirdest questions, man. The goalie sucks, can't save nothing. 10 goals given up by Flyers goaltending over the weekend, and to what? But they scored 6. Scored 6. So outshot or outscored 10 or 5-3 over this weekend. And you're not going to win too many games at the NHL level when you're giving up 5 goals a game. I don't care who you are. Unless, of course, you're the 1980s Edmonton Oilers with Messier, Gretzky, Curry, Coffey. You know, if you're that team, maybe you can live on the edge like that. But this team can't. And not many teams in the modern NHL can. So Flyers with the loss. That's why when I said last night's game in St. Louis was very important. They needed to get a win there. And that was a really good win coming back from 5-3 and getting the shootout win. That was a really good win because I did fear this tonight. I feared the not letdown. I ain't going to say that. I'm not also going to say a scheduled loss because, as I said, the Flyers, they fought, man. They did. They gave everything they had. Problem is they just don't have enough. And they don't have enough. They barely have enough to compete with the Stars when they're well rested, let alone when they're coming off a back-to-back. So it's just one of those numbers games here for me. And the rebuild goes on, you know, and I know the frustration. Trust me. If there's anybody who doesn't feel it, who feels it more, Ryan, it's me. I understand. We wanted a rebuild. We wanted the organization to realize and to acknowledge and to say it publicly that the Flyers needed to go into a rebuild. But I know from my point of view, I said the same thing, but I also forgot, as we've been mired in it now for 3 years, I've forgotten what that means in hockey. And I've been reminded of what that means in hockey by this Flyers team. Rebuilding is slow. It's laborious. It's frustrating. And there's no timeline. Talk to the Buffalo Sabres. They've been rebuilding since the year 2000, right? And I'm not putting us in that category. But rebuilding in hockey is not easy. And when you admit that your franchise is at that point, I don't think a lot of us understand really what that means. And we did get to that point. I'm not saying they went into the rebuild wrong, but they are certainly in a rebuild. It's not a retool by any stretch of the imagination. There's just no way you can justify that. Because if it's a retool, then it's the world's worst retool that I've ever seen. Because they got no offensive talent. They got middling goaltending and a defensive core that's still developing, all right, who's better offensively than they are defensively. So it is totally a rebuild, and it's frustrating. It is. But the beat will go on, and hopefully one day soon, we will come out of the rebuild. And as far as the playoffs go, I want to go on the record by saying this again. I never once said they were making the playoffs this year. I said they need to make the playoffs. Come hell or high water, they got to find a way into the playoffs. Because you can't go 6 years. No other team in Flyers franchise history has not made the playoffs in 6 years. It's never happened. You don't want to be that record holder. And the fans deserve it. But the reality of it is this. What we saw tonight. If they were to somehow, by some miracle, and I'm not putting it completely off the back burner, there's a ton of hockey left. But if the reality is they get into the playoffs, they're going to run up against a team like the Dallas Stars. They're just going to, nice little tune-up for the second round. So it's a rebuild. That's all I can really say. And it's frustrating. And I feel yes, I do. Don't forget, tomorrow, here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, we got you covered all day action tomorrow. So PM in the AM. I'm still waiting on word of whether or not we're going to do that tomorrow. Don't forget, PM in the AM is no longer called that. It's called the Philly AM Sports Show with Big Al and Mike Laro. Mike is on a personal hiatus this weekend, taking care of a personal issue. And I'm still waiting to hear back from Al, what he wants to do. So if they're going to go, then Al will take it solo. Or maybe he's bringing a guest host. I don't know. I haven't heard anything differently. So I assume we're rolling at 9 o'clock with the new And this is your new logo here, Philly AM Sports with Big Al and Mike. So as far as I know, that's what we're rolling with. At 9:30, you're going to have the Steel City Sunday pregame. And then after the Steelers game, you have their postgame. And then tomorrow night, the Birds Fly By Eagles Lions postgame will commence immediately following the Eagles Lions game. You might be seeing me on the postgame tomorrow night. It'll be me or Al or both of us. But somebody will be there, as Mike, again, will not be available this weekend. So he'll be back on Tuesday to do the Locks, Props, and Parlay show. But until then, you're going to be dealing with me and Al. And don't forget, next week, this is our Clear the Ice schedule. Only 2 games next week, Thursday and Saturday. The Flyers are going to be off for the next 5 days before they meet the Blues, and then they'll be back Saturday against the Devils. So make sure you're there for all the action. And continue to tune into this network, this fine network, as hopefully better days are coming for the hockey team. We're one more day closer. That's all I can say. 5-1 Flyers losing Dallas. Gutsy effort. Goaltending is officially still a problem. And what are they going to do to fix it? Are we rolling with these guys? Is there a trade incoming? 5 days off? Yeah, maybe they do something. Maybe they don't. We'll see. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your Saturday night and tomorrow and rest of your Sunday, rest of your weekend. We'll talk again. I'll see you either tomorrow night on the Birds Flyby, or I'll see you on Monday night with the final word with Matty B. Until then, you guys take care. See ya. Oh, yeah. Sorry. In the immortal words of the late, great Mr. Gene Hart, good night and good hockey.